You know, I just want to say that these financial gurus, celebrities, comedians, anybody, honestly, that thought of crypto was always the same thought. Is that it's going to fail? Is that it's gambling? Is that it sucks? Is that it has no value? All of these things, right? And while I can't show you their actual clips, we're going to take you through a journey, right? Maybe of just understanding what they thought of cryptocurrency versus maybe how they think of it and how it has changed maybe a little bit to today's standards, but then also still put a lot of emphasis on the way they used to think and about cryptocurrency and how some of them are honestly doubling down about crypto and its success and the fact that it's just not going to be worth anything, right? People are allowed to be wrong. Understand that financial gurus, right? One, they're called that based on the people that follow them, right, and the advice that they give, but it doesn't mean that they know everything. I don't know everything. I don't care if you follow me and say, hey, Matt made me a bunch of money in cryptocurrency. I don't know everything. I didn't give you that ability. I may have given you a second opinion that then gave you that thought process to hold, but I do not know exactly what's going to happen. And if I did have that crystal ball, I would have probably multiple hundreds of billions of dollars at this point if I did have that crystal ball to say, I know exactly what's going to happen. Nobody knows. So, in most cases, the most success that you could possibly have is with the long-standing, like what has traditionally worked, which is invested into large or broader market cap or broader market index funds or ETFs, something like that, where you have more companies that you're invested into, the better, right? The more consistent that it'll actually move. That's the way it always has been, and that's the way that I play it at times. However, they neglect to show that you should always find ways to take risks, right? Taking risks and failing at some of those things that you take risks on is what prepares you for that next step to be successful then. If you don't take any risks, you're not going to know what's behind that door. If you say, I don't want to go outside because I have a chance of dying every single time, right? Okay, so you're just not going to go outside and explore what the world has to offer? No, open the door, take that chance, right? Make sure you're cautious as you move along, but still take the chance that you need in order to succeed. They want to enclose you in your house or enclose you in this box to say that you can't go outside that box. When in reality, you can do whatever you feel like doing while also taking those cautious steps to prepare yourself for what the future could bring. So I want to talk about these financial gurus. Hopefully you guys like these videos because again, like it takes me a little bit to go through it and also just put my kind of my heart on my sleeve and talk about the things that I feel because it's not necessarily a fact, but we can see the things that are facts and we can say, okay, they were wrong, admit that you were wrong, and see the light at the end of the tunnel. Don't just say it will never have value and I'll never support it and I'll never tell anybody to do this. Like using those absolute terms is ridiculous. I learned that as I went through the last 9 to 5 job that I had. We had a workshop to where the whole workshop was about not using absolutes to describe something, to define something, to have conversations with people, or even go through projects or whatever. And that was the most enlightening thing that I could think of and do and hear, right? Because I used to use absolutes pretty much all the time, where I would say, I always do that, or I would never do this. But if you close that door to say that this one thing could never happen, like, how do you possibly know that you're going to be able to grow? You're putting yourself in that box. You know what I mean? So, anyways, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell for more of these videos. Also, make sure you check out some of the links down below. You can check out my link for BTCC, which is down in the description. If you use my link specifically, you will get a 10% deposit bonus, and you can enter to win an extra 500 USDT if you sign up, deposit, and trade before, I believe it's October 15th. So if you are seeing this on October 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, or 15th, you can still sign up, deposit, and trade and be entered to win 500 USDT through that, crypto platform. Anyways, I was doing some research about some things, and the reason why I was really looking this up was just because there's so many people that are wrong about crypto, and they don't like come out and say, "Hey, I was wrong about this," or open their minds to anything. They just continue to double down. Like I went to go search up quotes for financial gurus, and people like Warren Buffett. Everybody knows Warren Buffett. They follow his strategy. I follow his strategy at times. However, I still like to, you know, branch outside of what he talks about and look at other things. Obviously, that's why I'm talking about cryptocurrency. But he says I can say almost with certainty that they will come to a bad ending, right? Meaning that cryptocurrency will not necessarily succeed. It will fall, it will collapse, and then it will have no intrinsic value, right? He stated that he wouldn't accept all the Bitcoin in the world for even $25 because it doesn't produce anything. Is an absolutely asinine statement. That is ridiculous to say that you wouldn't accept something knowing that it gets to $100,000 per coin for $25 because it has no value and it doesn't produce anything. Just because it's not a business does not mean that it doesn't have value in it, right? The US dollar doesn't necessarily have value anymore because it's not backed by gold. It's all based on what we, want to use it for. If we didn't want to use the dollar at all, that takes away the value of the dollar. And now it's devalued to a hell of an extent. So to say that this has no value or doesn't produce anything is crazy. Charlie Munger, he's famously called Bitcoin rat poison in 2018 and more expensive rat poison years later. You look at Jamie Dimon. In 2017, he called Bitcoin a fraud. In 2021, he stated that he thinks Bitcoin is worthless and has no intrinsic value. So you have these people that are on the top of the world as we know it, and they're not willing to accept what change could be. You know what that reminds me of that I've mentioned plenty of times on this channel? You might guess it, right? If you took a second to pause this video, or even didn't even need to pause it, and you blurted it out, it would be the internet. You know how many people counted out the internet and said that no internet companies, the internet would be just a fad and it would not stick around. You would make no money from it. There's no value in it. It's not going to grow. It doesn't make sense. All of these things. And then look where the internet is here today, right? Look what we're doing with the internet. Honestly, some scary stuff that we're doing with it. But the point is that look where it is and look at the businesses that it did produce. Now, for cryptocurrency, it's a little bit of a different story, right? It's still not necessarily a business, but it is something that we can utilize and have a new form of money, right? That digital side of money that we all have been hunting for and not being surrounded by banks. Obviously, Jamie Dimon would say, yeah, well, it's a scam, it's a fraud, it's not worth my time, it's worthless, has no intrinsic value, of course, right? You're talking about someone who has lived in the banking industry for such a long time and fighting against that or saying something that positive about cryptocurrency, which is fighting against that, would be completely ridiculous. And then you have people like Dave Ramsey who continuously still calls it a dumpster, or sorry, dumber than crap. I've heard him say that 1,000 times. It's dumber than crap. It's a bunch of crap. Everything is crap, right? So he says it's stupid. He says like a roulette wheel. It's like Mary Kay for young men. And if you don't know what that means, that's basically like a multi-level marketing thing for young men, right? If you don't understand it, you can say that. You can go on and say, I don't understand it. That's why I don't want to get involved with it, right? I don't want to recommend it to other people because I don't understand it. But to come and say that it's dumber than crap, and then you end up passing away, right? Or whatever. And then, cryptocurrency is a big part of this world, or not even, may not even be that case, right? It might be 5 or 10 years where crypto is a major part of this world. And we're now starting to make these decisions, with cryptocurrency rather than using our, standard dollar or whatever, your fiat currency is. This is where you now can't say and come out and go, you were wrong. But we can look back and clearly say, while it's happening, that you were wrong. after it happens that you were wrong, and for years and decades and centuries to come to say that you were wrong about this. If I had to give out any advice, not financial advice, not telling you where to put your money or anything like that, if I had to give you any advice, it would be to open your mind to possibilities while also still seeing what has been proven to succeed in the past. If someone tells you you should be putting all of your money into index funds, right? That's all that they know. That's all that they've been able to have success with. But if someone comes out and goes, you put some of your money into index funds, put some of your money into real estate, figure out the rest of it and try and find out what the world will be years to come from now. Right? Try and figure out if you're putting it in businesses or if you're putting it into crypto, if you're putting it into whatever, right? It could be collectibles or commodities or whatever, right? You need to explore and you need to have some sort of, let's say, pool of money or pool of whatever you can put together to explore, right? To see what's going to be different. Don't get stuck in this box and say, oh, because index funds have worked for the past million years, right? Now you have to be involved in that. And now you have to teach your children that that is the only way. That is not the only way. If that is the case, there would be no new businesses, no brand new products that are being created, right? We would just do everything the same and we would have old school cars. We wouldn't innovate. We wouldn't have electric cars. We wouldn't be making these strides to do something bigger and different. And everybody has their opinion about change. Change is scary. Anytime I would leave a job, I would be afraid. All right, I don't like that change. Nobody likes that change. Gordon Ramsay, Dave Ramsey doesn't like that change, right? Jamie Dimon doesn't like that change. However, we're going to see it. So you guys are wrong about cryptocurrency. Saying it's dumber than crap. Saying that it has no intrinsic value. Saying that you wouldn't buy or spend $25 per Bitcoin or get all the Bitcoin in the world for $25, which is a dumb statement because Bitcoin is currently worth $100,000. Even if it dropped by 50% and you got all of it for $25, you are still a multi-trillionaire. Right? Billionaire, I would say, because you own all of the Bitcoin, right? Right? Because you have hundreds of billions of dollars, or even at half of where it's at, of 2 trillion, you're still at 1 trillion. You still make billions or trillions of dollars, right? As it grows, as it stays. It's just ridiculous the type of stuff that you hear them say. And they're used to what they're used to. They're like 1,000 years old, of course. No offense to them or their family. It's about understanding where your lane is, and that's what they do best. They understand where their lane is, what they invest into, and they make a ton of money out of that. If somebody has $100 million and gains 10% per year, what is that? That's $10 million that they're gaining, right? Off of a $100 million investment that you made into the broader markets, you're gaining 10% per year. You're gaining $10 million per year. No doubt you're not going to change anything. You don't need to take that risks or those risks. A lot of other people might want to explore those risks because the world is changing. It changed. I don't even know how old Warren Buffett is. But all of these people are on the older side or in an industry to where they don't want to see that change. And, while I look at it with, saying that crypto can have success. Is it all going to be successful? No. Was everything on the internet successful? No. Are 100% of the businesses successful? No. Eventually, you're going to have businesses that live out their lives. And it doesn't mean that you invest directly into the businesses. This is why you invest into a broader market ETF or index fund or whatever, right? Where you're invested into, 500 companies or 1,000 or 3,000 companies. So if one fails, you still have 2,999 left on the table that you're still a part of, right? So it's living with what you know can succeed while also exploring those things that doesn't have a proven history. But we're seeing it in real time. Going from a $1 trillion market cap to a $4 trillion market cap, I don't know about you, but that's growth. Seeing how banks are adopting things like XRP, seeing how businesses are looking at Bitcoin more and more, as something that they can hold on their balance sheet, as something that they can accept and see value that grows. Like, people don't understand. Some of these older people and some of the people that are traditionalists, they don't understand how valuable cryptocurrency can be and will be. And I'm excited to prove even them wrong. So let me know what you think about this in the comment section. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Again, check out my link for BTCC down below. My voice is kind of going out a little bit because I got a little bit elevated there. But I feel passionately about this. And I've been able to succeed from crypto. Crypto has brought me from a means of low means to where I am today because of the conversations, because of the investments that I made, because of the future value, potential, all of that stuff. But I could talk about this for days. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.